All right, we may for real have an Iran deal for real this time, but I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what I know. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Have you ever had a more tepid beginning to a radio show before that? And this stems from a lot of back and forth here. We were under a ceasefire for a while, and then we were expecting the bombings to ramp up. And then we were told this morning the bombings are ramping up, and it's about to happen. And there was an interesting 3 minutes on Fox and Friends that I'll play for you in just a second. And then I think this is for real because the stock market thinks this is for real. And a little over an hour ago, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, and then it was also posted on the White House Twitter feed, a quick message, and the stock market jumped up 800 points. And I mean 800 points in like a minute. So I think everyone's taking this serious. Let me read it to you, and then I'm going to play you that 3 minutes from Trump where he just randomly called into Fox and Friends and had a chat. Here's the statement that was released right before 1 p.m. Texas time. Based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussions and final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved, including the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, Egypt, and others. What did he say, Iran in there? The naval blockade will remain in full force and effect until this transaction is finalized. Time and place of the signing to be announced shortly. So with that, we're taking off. Now, a lot of us thought that maybe there was going to be like a little more Top Gun action. I thought maybe like there might have to be some more bombs that get dropped. And I don't know if he just like resaw the Top Gun Maverick because, it's like the 40th anniversary of the original Top Gun. So they got re-released this summer. I don't know. Maybe he was just wanting to do some strikes. But they were on the aircraft carriers, and they were suiting up, and they're gassing up, and they're putting on their cool little aviator shades, and they're kissing Kelly McGillis goodbye, or whoever the new chick is. But no, it's all called off. So we'll see what's up with that. I think the context that makes this all make sense is this 3 minutes from Donald Trump on Fox and Friends this morning. Now, I heard Matt Locke take it, and he played it right after it happened. I heard what Markley Van Camp and Robbins played, and they both played the first 3 minutes. I'm going to play the second 3 minutes because I feel like that's where the details are that led up to the announcement that he just had at about 1 o'clock our time.
Well, I'll say it this way, that it's almost an ultimatum now, that there's no more negotiation at this point. You went back and forth with them. You gave them 2 weeks, and now they have to take the deal that you have offered them, that you tried to negotiate in good faith, or everything goes and the people can be liberated. Is that what's happening right now?
Well, that could happen if we want to keep going. And, the deal is a very good deal. The problem with the deal is that it could be the greatest deal in history. They could wave the white flag of surrender. They could say, we surrender, we're finished, we've had it. The United States is the greatest power. Praise be to Allah. And they could do all of this. They could say it loud and clear. And the fake news would say, it was a great victory for Iran. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. We're killing them. Just killing them. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft. We're flying planes over the middle of Tehran, and they have no idea what we're there. We've knocked out all of their radar, all of their anti-aircraft. Much of their missiles, they have probably less than 20%. We think about 20%. Most of their launchers have the missile launchers, which are quite important. Their drone capacity is way down. You see it. I mean, it's way down. Their attacks are very minor. They're finished. And yet, the fake news, just like with the election, the fake news is out there saying, wow, Iran is doing just so well. Trump is doing terribly. I watched it yesterday, one of the shows for 5 minutes. Haven't seen the show in a long while. This fake Joe Scarborough talking about how well Iran is doing. I'm saying, where do they come from? It's just the craziest thing. Yeah. And behind the scenes, I will tell you, they won't even dispute it. although they probably would because it makes sense. They're very good. Iran is very good at publicity, but they're not good at fighting.
So
but I took a look, and I must tell you, they can't believe the press they're getting. They can't even believe it. Yeah. And they told me, they said, it's amazing how well we're doing in the papers. We're not doing so well. They're negotiating with us to make a deal.
Well, Mr. President,
it's hard for them because they are proud. They're very proud.
We know
been the bully. They've been the bully of the Middle East for 47 years.
Yeah, they have.
They've been ripping off our presidents and other countries for years. They played Obama for a fool. The JCPOA is one of the worst deals I've ever seen, other than NAFTA, the NAFTA trade deal, which was maybe the worst deal ever made.
Mr. President.
But the JCPOA was a road to a nuclear weapon. Mine is a road to no nuclear weapon. Right. They can't have a nuclear. It says you cannot have a nuclear weapon. We will not have. And I didn't like it. It wasn't strong enough because it said develop. You cannot develop. I said, no, I want buy also. So they fought me on that for a day, and then they agreed to it. You cannot develop or purchase a nuclear weapon. So we got everything, but the press just covers it so crazily. They
don't worry about it.
No matter what I do, the press will say it was a great victory for Iran.
And the other piece of audio that you need to hear to get all of the context for the deal that was just sort of announced an hour before the show started was about an hour after that call into Fox and Friends this morning. Donald Trump is sitting down at a desk and he's signing some executive order about something else. And when he opens it up to questions from the press, they asked about the new inflation number. An inflation number came out this morning, 4% year over year. Now, if that maintains, that is a back-breaking, economy-grinding number. Now, if it's just a temporary spike and it's going to go back down once the Iran war is over, then it is of minimal concern long term. But Trump asked about the numbers. He upset about the numbers. He liked the numbers. He loves the inflation number. And it's not that he loves inflation being 4%. He just knows how temporary this number is going to be.
I will. I will.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now.
Aha! You see what's going on there? So Iran thinks that they can blockade the Straits of Hormuz. They can turn it off. If we're sneaking through boats, if we just snuck through millions and millions of gallons or barrels or whatever of oil in tankers, then Iran has nothing to play with. If they can't block the Straits of Hormuz and they can't cause us any pain economically, what can they use to hurt us now? Nothing. So if that's the case, you put those two conversations together along with the announcement that was made at about 12:50 Texas time. Maybe for real this time, the Iran war deal could happen. All right, we'll get a little more detailed breakdown from one of our foreign policy experts. David Hamilton from the National Security and Economic Strategy Center at the University of North Texas is next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, we may have reached a deal with Iran, but I mean, we've kind of heard that before. I think there is a change in the X's and O's on the ground. We'll check in with my next guest. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. You can hear him from 11 to 2. Now coming back on from the National Security and Economic Strategy Center from the University of North Texas. Good friend of the show, David Hamilton. And David, one thing I think changed the math on this is when Donald Trump admitted this morning that they were able to sneak a whole bunch of oil through the Straits of Hormuz without Iran stopping them. Is that the game changer I think it is? Has that always been the case and we're just now admitting it? All right, well, David Hamilton, let me put this post that he did on social media under a microscope because he went to great lengths to name a whole bunch of countries: United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Egypt. He doesn't say Oman. And isn't Oman the country on the other side of the Straits of Hormuz that's kind of been helping or right, but would you say that they've been acting as an ally to Iran in this situation because they have that weird just tip of the peninsula that sticks out into the strait? So, what do you think the likelihood that for real this time we have an Iran peace deal? Well, you also see the stock market reacted. It went up about 800 points in 5 minutes. What did they see that makes them so confident that we're getting a resolution here? Do you have any answer for that? All right, David Hamilton, I appreciate your expertise in the foreign policy arena yet again on the James Show. You got any events coming up? Are you still doing the Space Innovation Summit this summer? Well, that was a great event you had with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I appreciate being invited to your events. All right, that's David Hamilton from the National Security and Economic Center at UNT. Coming up next, we had an inflation report, kind of disappointing, but Donald Trump was very optimistic about it. I think he knew in his back pocket when you hear this next clip that he was going to be announcing an Iran deal within hours, and that kind of makes it make a little bit more sense. But you'll hear it and judge for yourself next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on Newstalk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, here's hoping there really is an Iran deal this time. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the James Show, where Trump announced on social media about an hour before the show started that a deal has been agreed upon, not just in principle, but in great detail. And he should be announcing a new signing soon, like in a signing ceremony. So we're waiting on that, but he's saying that it's a great settlement, probably the best settlement anyone's ever had. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it, believe me. And if that's the case, then a lot of the concern that is borne about by this morning's inflation report could be expected to dissipate really soon. I'll go into detail on that after we talk to Nancy in Dallas. You're on the James Show. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm great.
Okay, so I have an opinion and a question. Now, when Obamacare sent all that money to Iran, and they were able to sponsor a lot of terrorism, and all the countries that got on board, can't these countries and these people be sabotaging? Because I thought I had heard that the uranium that was like embedded in the hills or something, that they think that they would have liked to gotten some of it to test to see if it came from the United States, to see if Obama had given it to them. So it stands to reason that none of these people would want President Trump to be successful in this. So I'm just wondering, you know, a lot of people are getting frustrated, but he's got so many enemies that would sabotage that, and people with special interests in the region.
I don't think you have to go that complex to find reasons for half of this country to want to sabotage what he does, and then for any external powers to want to sabotage what the United States does. I don't know if you could even trace it back, though. I don't know if that uranium decay has some sort of imprint that we could tell where it came from or where it was sourced. You know, it's been flopping around in a centrifuge, probably with other uranium getting all mixed up. I really don't know the answer to that. I'm not, and it sounds like you could be right. I don't know enough to have a strong opinion.
Okay, I just, was asking.
Well, you know, I feel like I'm letting you down because I'm supposed to have an opinion and know everything about every nuance of every story, and sometimes I don't, and I just have to admit it and disappoint you, I guess, Nancy.
Oh, no, okay, well, thank you. I just know that some people are getting frustrated with him, and I don't think they understand the internal sabotage that's going on, to keep this deal from happening.
Well, there's something that's going on, and I think that all of us know this because there is some sort of undercurrent in D.C. that always wants war. Like, we wrapped up Afghanistan and almost immediately popped off into Ukraine. And it doesn't matter what the excuse is. There's been an excuse to have our military engaged somewhere ever since the Cold War collapsed. And then before that, the Cold War was our excuse for just overt military spending with no questions. And if you don't like it or you bring anything up, then you're anti-American. So, it's the big fatal flaw of conservatism on the fiscal front is military spending. But it's kind of hard to.
And the people like in Ukraine, BlackRock, that got trillions of dollars to rebuild, and the conflict isn't even over yet. So
yeah,
like,
yeah. Well. Make no mistake about it. The wall, the tsunami of fraud that you've seen from the tsunamis and the food stamps and the hospice and the everything else, it's probably happened in the military too. All right, we're going to Donald Trump, who is speaking at the Oval Office, taking questions, talking about the Iran strikes. All right, so he's talking about some fishing treaty executive order signed, but I imagine he's going to take questions from the press in just a second. We're going to take a quick break. I'll listen to it on the commercials, and when they bring up the Iran war or economy or something that I think you need to hear, that's probably what you'll hear in about 4 minutes coming up on The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.
But it means slow. 3 knots up, get back. But this is going to support millions and millions of people. Industries, like you have policemen, policewomen. Do you call them fishermen and fisherwomen? I haven't heard of that one before. They put it. How would the women do? They want to be designated as fisherwomen? Does anybody want to answer that question?
They'll take fishermen. Yes,
they take
fishermen, fisherwomen.
How about fisher people?
If you want to be politically correct, sometimes they use the term fisher, but
Fisher.
I like fisherman or fisherwoman myself.
How about fisher people?
There we go.
These people are crazy.
So President Trump, I Googled that because I was at the same dilemma you did, trying
Right.
to figure out, be politically correct.
And what is the answer?
So the Google answer said that most women attribute to fishermen because they feel like they're strong individuals and they can do the work of a man.
Well, be careful. That might be the end of your career. My administration's already rolled back burdensome regulations to increase gear flexibility. You know what that means, right? Do you know what that means? I heard they made you buy gear that you didn't want. Yeah. And that didn't work. Other than that, it was quite good. Expedite, I guarantee the guy made contributions to find whoever owns the company that made the bad gear. Expedite fishing start dates and significantly raise catch limits based on the best available science. You know about that? That's unbelievable. We expanded access to key fishing grounds in the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans, including in the Atlantic. 100 miles, that's a lot. That's a lot of fish. It's a lot of lobster that was being sold by Japan. I will tell you, foreign countries are very happy because they ended up taking over the Maine lobster business. Maine lobster business live from Japan, right? But we gave it back to them. These actions have unlocked billions of dollars in economic value and protected thousands and thousands of jobs from great people that voted for Trump. And they voted for me because of common sense. That's all it is. Because anybody can see this stuff is crazy. This is one industry, but other industries likewise. And right now we have $18 trillion being invested in our country. And under the last administration it was less than one. And this is 18 trillion, by the way, less than a year. It was 4 years less than one. Right, Howard?
That's correct.
By restoring fishing access to these waters in the Western Pacific, we're reclaiming our maritime heritage, empowering American fishermen.
All right, Donald Trump is still talking about fishing when he goes to taking questions from reporters. I think it's going to be news you want to hear. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. But Iran is kind of stealing the headlines right now because Donald Trump put on social media about an hour before the James show started, 12:50 Texas time, that a deal has been agreed upon. And it's not just the regular old speculation. Stock market jumped up. The Dow's now up 1,000 points today. It took about an 800-point jump in the 5 to 10 minutes after that tweet or True Social post or whatever you want to call it happened today. So the people who are betting their own money on the future of the economy seem to be taking this serious. So I think I'll be taking it serious too. However, the ugly news that came out this morning was the inflation number, 4%. 4% is terrible. It's as bad as it ever has been under Trump. Now, it got up to 9% under Biden. And Eddie, no, Trump didn't hand Biden a 9% inflation rate. Biden drove it up to 9%, and that wasn't until June of his second year in office. Thank you very much. But he was handing off to Trump an inflation rate that's about between, 2-3% right there. So it's higher than it was when we started. And I know most of this is being driven, at least in the short term, by the rise in gas prices and energy prices that kind of trickle down after that. So, flying and transportation and all that. But, we're never really going to get a handle on inflation when we're running a $2 trillion annual deficit or a $1.5 trillion annual deficit or really a $1 trillion annual deficit. We've got to get that thing down below at least the rate of productivity increase. But Trump was asked about the number this morning. He said he loved the inflation number.
I will.
I will.
Are you concerned, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now.
So we'll be keeping an eye on the Iran situation. I imagine when he takes questions, I'll be listening to him on the next break, and I'll be playing them back for you. Now, what the headlines that he is supplanted with this new Iran news, it seems how the rest of the media took the Carmelo Anthony story, they embraced it. Half the media wanted to throw another George Floyd season of rioting into the pot for election season, and it just didn't stick. And I think the takeaway from this is all positive. Because either there's not enough of these people who are animated by black grievance racism to have a riot, or the people who would usually riot actually looked at the merits of this case and said, you know what, this isn't worth rioting for. This isn't a riotable defense. In fact, we're not going to just tribally defend this guy because he happens to have a darker skin tone that matches mine. And whatever the excuse is, that's positive. That's not the world we were living under in 2020, is it? And also, it's fun to watch when you catch a fish and you throw it on the deck and it's flopping around, and eventually as it runs out of auction, it just kind of flops less, and there's like a couple of last little lame flops before it finally gives up. Here's some of the lame flops coming from Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body, Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
Admit it, you're going to miss her when she's gone, because you're going to miss great. Remember, she's a lawyer by training. She's on a podcast talking about the Carmelo Anthony trial, and she tries to make the case that the knife Carmelo Anthony used to murder Austin Metcalf, is that really a deadly weapon? Can that really be considered a deadly weapon? I don't know. You could theorize about that if no one had been stabbed and killed with it, but how can you even have like the hypothetical, like the conversation? I don't know. Could you really consider it a deadly weapon? It's already killed somebody, so of course it's a deadly weapon. But listen to him at least try and have the conversation. It's sad.
Was it a switch? I don't know what he had.
It was like it seemed like it was a multi-tool, almost like a Swiss Army.
Like with like with the little scissors and everything and whatever. So it was small. Well, I would have argued the size of it alone, you wouldn't even think it's a deadly weapon.
And that's
forgot he had through the bag.
If it was one of the little, like I don't know.
One of the little ones. You know, she doesn't talk like that. You know, she's affecting the accent. It was cool because she was doing that when she was, you know, running for office. It's one of the things I'm going to miss is getting to see every once in a while Jasmine unlocking a new accent.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago.
Yeah, that's how she talked before. That's how she talked before. I don't know if the political consultants talked her into this or this was her own doing. Before she decided to affect the accent.
These people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty.
So politics is acting. Politics is Hollywood for ugly people. Because this is an act. This is a character. This is like a Saturday Night Live character that she's putting on. Just like every once in a while you see Mike Myers, he turns into Wayne Campbell or he turns into Austin Powers. Every once in a while, no, Dieter. Look at you making it. Was that a Sprockets reference, Garrett? Okay, Garrett making a Sprockets reference. Give yourself 3 points. I didn't know you were capable of such obscure pop culture references. But yeah, do these two back to back again.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. You know, no one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty.
You're gonna miss her. I'm gonna miss her when she's gone.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Governor Hot Wheels. And he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. Just don't be mad at me. Don't hold it against me. I really am hoping that she gets a show on M Snow or CNN or whatever it is, and she doesn't disappear from the public sphere. I know. God, I know. Feels weird to say, because if she goes away completely, we will miss her on the James Show. She's been such a fount, just a volcano of ridiculous audio bites that she has her own theme. And I didn't even have to make it. Like, other people have recognized this and made a theme on her behalf. And we've all collaborated and made this whole subplot on the James Show that just disappears and goes away. So, fingers crossed. Jasmine, if you're listening, anyone on Team Jasmine listening, why don't you come on the James Show? I would love to keep your profile raised, and maybe we can help sort of offload you and get some good viral video clips that you can use to make the case that, no, you're still relevant. You deserve a TV show. If they can give Joy Reid a TV show, Jasmine Crockett's smarter than Joy Reid. She's prettier and better to look at on TV than Joy Reid. She's a better conversationalist than Joy Reid. She's more fun to talk to. Probably be a host than Joy Reid. Al Sharpton got a show on MSNBC. I know it feels weird to say, but I'm actually pulling for her. So go Jasmine Crockett. All right. We got Father's Day coming up. I know it's like a secondary, third, kind of not really thought of holiday. But what would your dad do with $5,000 to upgrade his favorite space? Would he get a better TV for game days? Would he get a huge grill for the cookouts? Go to WBAP.com right now and enter the Top Pop giveaway. We're not forgetting about you, dads. We actually have a contest just for you. Sponsored locally by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm. But go to WBAP.com. It's one of the top things that's rotating in the little headline rotator. Click on that. I was looking at the entries. There's not a whole lot of people who have entered into this, so you got a pretty good chance of winning. A lot better than a scratch-off ticket. So go to WBAP.com, enter to win the Top Pop giveaway. $5,000 for your dad's upgraded space. All right, coming up next on the James Show, there was a drive-by where a man got shot in the face at a gas station in Fort Worth, and you're not going to believe this. It was not white rural rage. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, I got a couple of clips from Donald Trump who's talking to reporters right now. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now, he came out and he's signing some executive order about some fishing treaty, whatever, and it was changing the offshore rules about who can fish what, when, where, and the coast of America and American territories, yada, yada, yada. He starts taking questions from the reporters, and really the first 4 or 5 questions were actually about this fishing treaty and overseas stuff. Now, before we get to the actual Iran questions, there was a cool little thing that I'd never thought of. Have you thought of this? If you have an offshore wind farm, if you have thousands of acres in this shallow part of the ocean on the continental shelf where these windmills are put in a grid, you can fly an autonomous drone, like a quadcopter or UAV. You can fly low enough to that wind farm and it won't be able to be picked up on radar. And so it's actually a national security concern, especially if you're going to build a wind farm right outside of a major population center. There was, I think what he's talking about here was a proposal for a wind farm that was right outside of Boston that got shot down because, hey, the Russians, the Iranians, the Chinese, someone who hates us could fly a drone right up to the shore of Boston and we wouldn't detect it until it got here. And so that was a cool little strategy here that I just never been put on the table. And I'm just thinking about it now for the first time.
It's not great for marine life, not great for fisheries. We also have the report from Secretary Pete Hegseth, which conclusively, this is a national security threat. And we should understand, this was thrown out by the Democrats and said, no, it's not. It can't be a national security. They're just making it up. Other countries, including Sweden, have canceled offshore wind projects because of national security issues. And all you have to do is pay attention to the way the wars are being fought today. It's autonomous on autonomous, a lot of it low altitude. These wind towers that President Trump has worked to try to stop, the towers themselves can be 600 feet. The blades are 250 on top of that. You could launch an attack on the U.S. in the Northeast, in our most populous area, with a bunch of autonomous drones coming through a wind tower field, which cover thousands, if not tens of thousands of miles. That level of attack would be undetectable until it came through because of the radar interference. And then we know that there's autonomous undersea activity going on now. That's happening in the Gulf with advances in technology on all sides. The sonar, the vibration of running the wind towers affects the undersea sonar. So it's a huge national security threat, bad for marine mammals, bad for fish. President Trump is going to keep fighting for what's right for this country.
Could you stop the blades right now? They're coming over from Asia.
All right, now look at that. I had not thought of that before, but that kind of makes sense. So Donald Trump keeps taking questions. Eventually, they start asking him about Iran. I believe this is that part right here.
A nuclear weapon, or will there be more negotiations on that down the
They
line?
will not have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that. There will be no, which is the whole reason, which is a big part of the reason.
Is that
maybe
going
the
to be in
biggest.
your agreement, sir?
They will not only not have, they will not purchase, develop in any way, any shape, in any way, shape, or form a nuclear weapon. They will not have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President, just to follow up on that, you have said before that Iran and the United States were close to a deal. It has not happened yet. Why are you so convinced that this time is different?
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take, and they want to make the deal a lot more than I do. And we could have had it done the other way, I guess, but it would have taken longer. They got hit very hard recently, as you know. And I don't like to have to do things that way, but I felt it was necessary. It's a great deal for the United States and for the Middle East, and I think ultimately great for Iran because they'll be able to build up their country and their country. I really believe it's a regime change because I find these people to be much more rational than the people that are no longer with us. We knocked out the first team of leadership, the second team of leadership. This is a different group. This is a different level, and I think it's frankly a smarter level, and it's a level that has reason. And they've all approved the deal. Everybody's approved the deal. Now we'll get it finished up, and hopefully that'll be done. We will not have Iran having a nuclear weapon, which is very important to these people behind me. We can talk about fishing. There won't be anybody to fish. The fish will still be around, I guess. They're probably going to be affected too. We're not going to let it happen. So Iran will essentially, most important paragraph to me, Iran will in no way, shape, or form have a nuclear weapon or purchase a nuclear weapon.
But is this just a concept of that agreement when it comes to nuclear? You said this was just a concept of that agreement. So is this just essentially setting the stage for deeper talks on nuclear?
It's a very strong memorandum of understanding that is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done. And if it doesn't get done for any reason, which I can't imagine that not happening, they want to sign it as much as I do or more. I would say they want to sign it more, maybe a lot more, but it's a very detailed memorandum of understanding, also agreed to by many other countries that have great influence over them, and everybody wants it done. So it's going to get done.
Yesterday that Iran may be tapping along the U.S. Those were the words that you used. What makes you believe that they are sincere this time in wanting to pursue diplomacy?
It's the level of enthusiasm for getting it done. And we were hitting them very hard for the last 3 days. We're going to hit them even harder tonight. They knew that. We told them exactly what we were going to do. We explained it exactly because they had no Navy, they had no Air Force, they had no any weapons of detection, they had nothing. And so we could tell them exactly what there wasn't a thing they could have done about it. And we won this war militarily very early on. The only thing we didn't win was the fake news was, no matter if they could have raised the white flag of surrender and the fake news would say, oh, they did wonderfully. They didn't do wonderfully. But you know what? They've got a chance to build a country. Their country is largely demolished. Again, their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone. Everything's gone. Their leadership is gone many times over. Even many people from this leadership is gone. But we found them to be rational, and they're going to make a deal.
All right, so that's Donald Trump speaking live to reporters from the Oval Office. I'll continue to monitor this on the break. If there's more relevant questions on Iran or really anything else I think you'll be interested in, you'll hear it in 4 minutes. If not, you'll hear about a drive-by shooting in Fort Worth. Man got shot in the face at a gas station. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, so the live comments from Donald Trump with the reporters. I'll give you a quick summary of what you missed on the break there. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Donald Trump's been speaking with reporters now for, a good half hour or so. We glossed over the original comments because he was talking about some executive order on fishing rights. And exactly what happened, what we thought would happen when he opened it up for questions from reporters. Eventually it got steered into Iran. I listened to all that. I played you the best parts. The only part about Iran that didn't get played is there was a question about the cost of it, and he was making the case that actually the intervention in Venezuela has paid for itself many times over. And then the questions dove off into, hey, this guy you endorsed lost his Iowa primary. Do you regret endorsing him? And then he was asked about a supplemental farm bill because the price of industrial fertilizer got spiked by the Iran war, and there was talk about some relief package for those guys. So they've kind of gotten off the Iran war and gone into just straight up politics, but I'll keep an eye on this and maybe I'll give it a pause over here if there's anything else good in the meantime. Like, what's he talking about now? Real quick.
Restaurant space, you can't get into it. We have a thriving community. We got rid of the crime. We're 92% down on crime.
Yeah, so, crime. All right, well, that's not the Iran war, and that's not really the economy. So I'll keep an eye on that on the next break. If anything good pops off when I check again, you'll hear it in the next segment. But I wanted to play this. This next news story is not really a news story that's going to be legendary. You're not going to hear about this 10 years from now or 5 years from now. There's not going to be the 1 year anniversary or remembrance of it. No one's going to put up a memorial. No one's going to have a press conference. No one's going to call some race hustler and have a press conference. No one's going to raise $600,000 for the legal defense fund of the guy that gets arrested in this story. This is one that happens and you hear of almost every day. I mean, I can't say a drive-by happens or a inner city gang violence or beef or one of these ghetto shootings happens every day, but almost. If you put it together between Dallas and Fort Worth and Houston and wherever, you could probably pull up one of these stories every single day. Except it doesn't get the attention. Why? Race? Here's WFAA.
Tonight, police are investigating a drive-by shooting in Fort Worth that happened just after midnight outside the Shell gas station, the one that's off I-35W in East Rendon Crowley Road. A man was changing his tire when police say he was shot in the face. His family drove him to the hospital. Then, while police were at the gas station investigating 2 hours later, shots were fired at that same gas station again.
Show me your hands now!
And we just got this new video from police tracking down the suspect and arresting them. We're working to learn whether the victim is okay tonight. Police say this was a targeted and isolated incident.
Yeah, just an isolated incident, not something that happens almost every single day within a subcategory of a sub-genre of our population. No. This is an isolated incident. Are you kidding? It's not really that isolated. I just played one of those from a couple days ago. We just had a mass shooting at Stop 6 in Fort Worth. I'm pulling up these stories at least once a week. We had the triple murder at the Airbnb. You know what they didn't mention there? The race. They don't have to. You know who it was. You know who the shooter was. You know who the poor guy that got shot in the face was. But they have to leave it out. Why? Because that would absolutely demolish the narrative. You know how stupid they would feel doing the story about the Stars Nazis? Some guy did a Nazi salute in a Stars game back in December, and we're not going to let it rest because we care about the suffering of our black neighbors. What about this guy that got shot in the face? You going to make sure 4 months now that guy gets justice? You gonna track him down, and the news is going to help you out to make sure that this wrong gets righted? Yeah, it's just... That's all. It's just an isolated incident. Where's the lady? Remember the Carmelo protester? What do you want us to do? What about this guy? What do you want us to do with that?
What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do at this point? What? I'm lost for words. I don't know what to do. I got 5 boys. I don't know what. I ain't got nothing to tell them no more. You can't walk away no more.
How about don't shoot people in the face? How about don't stab people in the heart? You know, we're not asking a whole lot. What do you want us to do? Stop murdering, or at least attempting to murder people. Stop doing drive-bys. Stop blaming. How does that get blamed on Whitey? They can't, so they have to leave the race out of it. Black people, they are not doing you any favors when they do this. They are not doing you any favors when they ignore the suffering of your community if and only if it helps the narrative will they swoop in. But that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart that the people who are so concerned about the community show so little concern about these violent acts that are harming the community 1,000 times more than evil white people. It really does break my heart that this is going to get swept under the rug and you're not going to hear some follow-ups on that. But yeah, remember what you were told. Look out. White rural rage, y'all.
White rural rage.
The threat that white rural voters pose to the country. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. Third, they're also the most strongly white nationalist and white Christian nationalist. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
So let's do some math here. Let's do the T chart. Let's do a comparison. MSNBC is telling black Americans to be concerned about white rural rage. Well, the drive-by shooting that just happened in Fort Worth yesterday. Guy got shot in the face. Was that white rural rage? Was that? What about the mass shooting where 5 people got shot at the Stop 6 park in Fort Worth this weekend? What about the mass shooting at the other Fort Worth park? Was that 2 weekends ago? The after hours party 3 weekends ago, whenever it was. The after hours gathering where at 3 a.m, a bouncer got shot and a couple other people got hit with stray bullets. That's not white rural rage there. What about the Sunday Fun Day up in Oklahoma where you had like 15 young black people getting shot in an exchange of some pre-existing gang beef? No, that wasn't white rural rage. What about at the Airbnb where 3 young black people were murdered at a Memorial Day weekend party? Was that white rural rage? What do you have against white people again? Because you're telling black people that they need to be scared of white people. And we've had 2 incidences this year to back up your case. Number one is some guys made what could be perceived as a racial gesture at a Stars game back in December. Ooh. And what's the other one? Oh, that's right. A white kid got murdered by a black kid and the black kid has to go to prison. That's the grievances you have for white rural rage. Does that make any sense whatsoever? MSNBC should be ashamed of themselves. And after what they told you 2 years ago, white rural rage, after just the last 2 years of observation, seeing how wrong they are, they owe white America an apology for slandering them, and they owe black America an apology for lying to their face. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, with all this racial antipathy, we have a Burning Cross story coming out of Chicago, and I don't buy it. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, let's look at a couple of weird crime stories here locally. I'm James Parker. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Here's a weird crime story. We go up to Chicago, the TV station WGN. Have you seen a burning cross in your entire life? I mean a for real burning cross. I don't mean the one from the scene in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I don't know if you saw Mississippi Burning or whatever, one of them old movies. I mean like a for real, a burning cross. You ever seen one? I don't think I have. In fact, in my entire life, I don't even remember a story about one, but we have sort of a story about one in Chicago. Before I play you the audio from the video, I want to paint a picture in your mind. The burning cross they're talking about looks like a couple of 2x6s, or maybe even thinner board than that. It looks like the board that they just ripped off a pallet, you know, the thin little strips of board. So it's really only about 4 feet high, and it's just one skinny board that seems to be nailed or screwed into another skinny board. It's stuck into the ground, but it's kind of flopping back and forth in the wind. And the whole thing's not even on fire. It's not like a raging inferno. Like, it looks like they squirted the middle part of it with lighter fluid, lit it, and ran off. So it's kind of burning for a second, but you also see it sort of dwindling off. And the other part that you're missing in the visual here is WGN thought this was such an offensive gesture that they actually blurred out the cross. They blurred it on TV. This is ridiculous, y'all.
This happened mid-afternoon on Tuesday here in Grant Park. We are hearing from a woman who drove by and saw this as it was happening, as Chicago police release a new image of a man they believe could be responsible.
This is something, we've read about in history books and seen in black and white footage, that type of thing, but never like today, 2026, you would expect to see this.
Kanika Carlton and her daughter were driving down Lakeshore Drive near Balbo around 2:30 Tuesday afternoon.
Why did they ask Kanika? They couldn't have asked like a Rusty or a Jeff, Skeeter, Bubba. No, we had to ask Kanika. It seems racist.
When they saw flames coming from Grant Park.
We thought it was just a tree branch burning, and we were going to call just 911 to say, hey, it's something burning. But as we got closer, that's when we noticed it was a cross.
I was horrified. I was angry. This was very, very intentional.
Hang on, that's fake. No one was horrified or angry. Like, you don't understand how small and not intimidating this thing is. Like, it's flopping in the wind. It's barely larger than a real estate sign. Oh, yeah, it's just so scary. This is so intimidating. You didn't even know to be intimidated until they blurted it out. So stupid.
You had to have made this cross, put it in some kind of vehicle, brought it downtown, carried it over to putting against a tree, which has another whole symbolism.
Oh, by the way, that's Father Flager. Remember that guy from the Jeremiah Wright Church? The Black Man Is Stealing My Show. Remember that guy?
And then lighting on a fire. You were sending a message.
Chicago police releasing this image of a suspect wanted in connection to the arson. The man with dark hair wearing dark pants, white shoes, and a black backpack with no shirt.
Hang on, don't you think race is worthy to bring up in a cross-burning story? Like, we can't even bring up race then? Now, why don't they bring up race? You can't see the guy. Anybody want to guess what color he is? Here's a dirty little secret. It's actually ambiguous. We don't know. We can't tell. But he looks Asian. Like, not Asian like Frisco. I mean, Asian like Bruce Lee. So I don't know if he's Chinese, Japanese, Korean, that flavor of Asian. He has solid black hair. I don't know. I mean, he could be a Mexican, because some Hispanic people look Asian, chinos. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So I mean, maybe it could be one of those. It's probably not just a straight up white guy. Doesn't look like it. He has a little bit of skin tone and he has completely black hair. I mean, he kind of looks like my Uncle Joey. If my Uncle Joey would lose a lot of weight, he's a Hispanic fella, but he kind of has the sleek facial features that are ambiguous. Right? Go look at the video. Miss Parker, go look at that to tell me if that doesn't look like Uncle Joey.
Hi, Miss Parker.
I have an uncle who's my same age. That's another story that's full of intrigue. But let's finish this. WGN pretending like a couple of burning 2x6s. And when I say this is thin strips of wood, it looks like a pallet. You know, the storage pallets, the warehouse pallets. I think we're all familiar with that. That's how thin the wood is, and it's only like 4 feet high. So no one's intimidated by this thing. If you were walking by it, you could just kind of kick it like that, and it would fall over, and probably the fire would be extinguished immediately. It's not a big flame. It's not, the whole thing isn't even on fire. It's like barely even burning. They are dying to have an excuse to report on racism. They are dying to have a Mississippi burning moment.
The woman who took this cell phone video thinks she may have seen him.
We did see a person just walking from it. As
What's
we
his
pulled up, we
race?
saw this young man kind of walking from it, headed headed west, like towards Michigan Avenue, a little too calmly for something like this, and it felt kind of weird. And then as we were leaving, you kind of see him picking up speed running.
As police work to track down the suspect, the act invoking deep emotions across the city, people calling for the man to be charged with a hate crime.
As a history teacher.
Look, I'm not saying this is a good thing. This is a bad thing. We shouldn't be burning crosses in public or in private or trying to intimidate people racially, but we're all falling all over themselves to try and get to the bottom of this mystery. Meanwhile, you're having to step over 763 black people that have been shot in Chicago this year, but we got to get to the bottom of this one. You're not worried about the murders going unsolved. You're not worried about the guy that got shot in the face in a drive-by last night. You're not worried about that one getting solved. I mean, like here locally, we have the 3 young black people that were murdered at the Airbnb. No one's raising a whole bunch of money trying to get to the bottom of that mystery. No one's talking about putting up a plaque. No one's coming in to visit. No one's having a protest. No one's making signs. No one's camping outside of the courthouse. The stretch, the fantasy that this country is plagued by white racists is so ludicrous. This is the only stories you can come up with. You are embarrassing yourself. We don't even know if that was a white guy that burned the cross. How about you wait? How about you find out? Or how about you at least speculate in there? Hey, maybe this was a fake. You know, we've seen a lot of fake hate crimes. We've seen a lot of Jussie Smollett's and Bubba Wallace's. Is this the next one of those? 800-288-9227. Don't you love this? Oh, boy. Black people were horrified by the burning cross in Chicago. Not the fact that your streets are flowing with blood in the black neighborhoods over there. No, that's not a problem. Someone put together a 4-foot-tall swinging cross that's kind of on fire. It's like not even adult. This is childlike. How are these people? How do they even have a job? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, another local crazy story about an ex who, listen, when you break up with your boyfriend, you know, if he cheats on you, doesn't treat you good, just break up, move out, move on. You don't have to try and kill him. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. You don't have to kill your ex. You can just break up and move on. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. For this story, we're going to go to WFAA. This just happened in your backyard.
He did not expect a pizza. What happened next makes even less sense.
It was just suddenly, somebody was just there and they immediately just shoot.
This man spoke to us from his hospital bed, shot 15 times by someone caught on camera hiding around the corner.
I felt the shots. It was like 4 or 5 shots, but I also felt like hate.
He didn't want to show his face because police say whoever did this is still out there.
As soon as they opened the door, they opened fire.
His sister, Maria Perez, says it was an ambush and a surprise, even to the Domino's guy who didn't get hurt.
I don't believe he knew what was about to happen.
Is there money in ambulance?
The family gave us this new video, which they say shows the suspect stalking the house for days before the shooting.
They were seen circling around. I think they were just waiting for the right moment to do what they were going to do.
Dallas police want anyone with information to call them. The victim says he's recovering, but it hurts.
Well, we do have one person that's been arrested. Not the shooter, but the person who ordered the shooting, and it is his ex-girlfriend. You're not going to believe this, but the victim, Hispanic, the ex-girlfriend, black. Uh-oh. Oh, my God. No. That can't be right. That can't be right, because MSNBC told you to expect white rural rage.
White rural rage.
The threat that white rural voters pose to the country. They're the most racist, xenophobic, anti-immigrant, anti-gay geodemographic group in the country. Second, they're the most conspiracist group. Third, they're also the most strongly white nationalist and white Christian nationalist. And fourth, they are most likely to excuse or justify violence as an acceptable alternative to peaceful public discourse.
Hey, you know what? Can y'all just like tap the brakes on all this white hate for a second? I mean, if you just look at the news, are white people stabbing minorities at track meets and murdering their children in front of their face? Is that what's happening? Are white people getting an Airbnb and then murdering 3 minorities, 3 young black people on Memorial Day weekend? Are we having the Sunday fun day at the lake and 2 white guys from opposing gangs go shoot it up? 15 people get struck by bullets. Is that white rural rage? Is that what's happening? Was it white rural rage when a guy, I guess that was yesterday in Fort Worth, got shot in the face at a gas station? White rural rage, huh? Is that what it is? Just we're surrounded by white rural rage? When we look at the news on an almost damn daily basis, there's non-white, non-rural rage actually happening around you. You have the balls. You have the cojones. You have the absolute 2 pairs, the pair of cantaloupe swinging between your legs to write a book about white rural rage. The most docile, safe, non-violent demographic possible. What the hell is the matter with you people? I'm tired of the slander. You know, I don't really get offended because I know I'm not racist. I know generally speaking, white people aren't racist. We're not evil. I know rural people don't have a bad heart. I know that there's not a bunch of raging white people out there. But after a while, it's like, damn, can you tap the brakes on it for 5 seconds? I'm tired of getting all the slander over here while the people who are actually doing the killing, who are shooting people in the face, who are stabbing people in the heart, who are hiring or sending fake pizzas to someone's house so a guy can go shoot up their ex 15 times. When are we going to get a book about that? When are we going to get a report about that? When are you going to admit the race of the criminals in these stories? It's only relevant if it's the narrative. That's pretty sick, y'all. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. All right, rant over. Father's Day is coming up. I bet your dad would like to have $5,000 to upgrade his favorite space. So go enter right now. Do him a favor. Go to WBAP.com. There's the Top Pop giveaway. You'll see it in the headline rotator. Click the link there. Sign up. It's sponsored local by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm, and because they put up the money, your dad could win $5,000 to upgrade his favorite space. It could be a better TV. It could be a grill for backyard cookouts. But go enter the Top Pop giveaway at WBAP.com right now. And hopefully someone from the James Show can make it happen for their dad. Coming up next, I am loving the stories of the tourists who are coming over here from Europe and loving America while they're watching the World Cup. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're trying to end an Iran war, prevent a race war. Media is not helping on either front much, are they? But the big thing that threw a monkey wrench into the plans for the show today was an hour before the show started, we got a social media post from Trump saying the Iran war deal is imminent. Now, we've heard that. You've heard that. I've heard that many times over the last couple of months, and it never turned out to be true. But I'm starting to put a little more stock in this because the stock market put a little more stock into this. So, yes, kind of dad joke, pun intended there. See the stock market put stock in this. It sucked. I'm sorry. So I think we might for real have a deal this time. What are the particulars? I don't know. Are we getting the uranium? I don't know. When's this going to be signed? We're awaiting an announcement. He says we'll have a sign-up date pretty soon. And I think the fallout from the Carmelo Anthony trial, or lack of fallout, is quite positive. However, the lessons that do need to be learned, the lessons that should be learned, the lessons that people say they're pining for are right in front of your face, and they're wholly ignoring them. And I was just spelling out the context of a bunch of other local crime stories that don't fit the narrative, but fit the same pattern, whether it's the Carmelo Anthony issue, that trial, or the triple murder at the Airbnb, or the mass shooting at the Sunday Fun Day, or the mass shooting at the Stop Six Park, or the other mass shooting at the After Hours party in Fort Worth. Or there's another thing that they all have in common with. They just don't want to bring it up because it doesn't fit the narrative, because they're scared of being called racist. I don't know. You know what it is. I know what it is. And it's quite frustrating to watch people pretend to not know what it is. Demetrius in Fort Worth, you're on the James Show.
Hello, Mr. James. How are you? I want to tell you, I've listened to you, and you're probably one of the only radio hosts that I think is pretty much neutral, or try to stay neutral. So I want to compliment you on that.
You know what? Hang on. But I don't mean to cut you off on your larger point. I don't think that is a compliment. I'm not neutral. I'm a raging libertarian. I am ragingly in favor of whatever the ideology that the founding fathers wanted for us, minus the slavery and racism and stuff. But as far as like the economy goes, and immigration goes, and the statecraft and the philosophy of the Enlightenment philosophers that they were quoting during the Declaration and Constitution, I am all for that, and I have no pretense of trying to be neutral.
I stand corrected.
Well, I do take that as a compliment, because you think I sound neutral. What you really mean, I sound fair. I'm not a hack that says everything's right that the Democrats do, or everything is right that the Republicans do. That part I appreciate, Demetrius. Thank you. Now go ahead.
And that is what I meant. You're open-minded. Let's just say that.
Okay.
But when you were speaking of the book, and you were speaking of, the stabbing, okay, and that shouldn't have been. It turned into something that it wasn't. I'm a black man, middle-aged, doing quite well, living in our communities. But I guess I have to ask you, are we judging this based on these people being in their particular communities? Because if you look at the school systems and the way the school systems are set up in redistricting and whatever they're doing right there, is there a fair shake on either side? Is my question to you.
I think that Carmelo Anthony crossed those boundaries. The Carmelo Anthony story, I should say, crossed those boundaries, where you took a guy who's not from an inner city ghetto failing community. He's not from a failing school district. In fact, he's in one of the top school districts in Texas, living in an affluent neighborhood. So that's not a socioeconomic factor. It's not a geography factor. He wasn't redlined. He wasn't discriminated, or his community wasn't discriminated against. In fact, he had everything that you're told people need to get ahead in the world. He had affluence. He had a great education. He actually had 2 parents in the house even. Yet the violent culture that thinks it's okay to commit acts of violence for the slightest of disrespect was the problem that persisted across that geography.
And I understand that. I get that. But let me give you another view of it.
Sure.
The reason I think they're getting so much resistance is because when you I guess what I'm saying is, if I was a judge, first of all, let me make sure you understand. I think he got what he deserved. And that's being a black man saying that. Okay, you kill somebody, you need to get what you deserve. That's not what I'm saying, though. I'm saying the appearance of corruption is what it was. When you have 12 white jurors in a trial, to me, you're actually asking for a problem. Would you agree or disagree?
No. First, they weren't all 12 white, but even if they were, that's not a deal breaker. You know, a jury of your peers means a cross section of the community in which you committed the crime. Frisco is not 100% black, so the expectation that he would have a black jury is insane. It's in fact, it's a very small percentage black, and of the black jurors that were on there, they were stricken, and the defense was part of that process as well. And kudos to I think one or two of them said that they couldn't see themselves sending a brother to jail, and so they got themselves dismissed. Another one was an educator in the Frisco ISD district, so maybe too close to the story. You know, I understand where that comes from, because if you have a tribal mentality, if you are giving people the benefit of the doubt because they are part of your in-group, it's probably hard for you to see that other groups don't do that and other groups can be more fair. You know, because there's almost an inherent racism in the claim here. You don't think white people can give you a fair shake in a jury box? Do you think that they have inherent traits based on the color of their skin that render them less good than black jurors? That's a sign of racism. In fact, that's closer to the definition of racism straight up.
Okay, and I truly agree with that, but then you'd have to ask yourself questions like the DEI immediately done when the president became president. You'd have to ask yourself about all the things that are going on right now as far as redistricting. I mean, there's more to this on either side. Now, I want to make sure you understand I'm a very neutral person.
You sound neutral. You sound fair.
Yeah, I'm fair, but I'm just wanting to tell you and your viewers, perception is sometimes not true, but it is perceived. And that's I guess my question I have to ask you is, how do we end this? Like when you said as far as the black on black crime, you said as far as the Airbnbs and all that, and I can go and I can say as far as the school shootings, and I mean, we can go through all of that. But how do we correct it is my question.
Well, there's not a political solution to everything, and I don't think there's a political solution to this. I don't think we can correct it. I think until the black community decides that they're going to retry the values, the mores, and the religious principles of their great-grandparents, if they try that, could we maybe have a solution? Because the solution here isn't we need to pass a new law or we need to, have a new program or DEI or keep Whitey down or something. You need dads and you need Jesus. How many of these kids that are doing the drive-bys, like the guy that shot this other dude in the face at the gas station yesterday, do you think he was at church on Sunday? Do you think he grew up with his father in the home?
I'd say no.
Well, I mean, he might have been, but the odds are really hard against it. The odds are really hard against it. The guy grew up in a home with a loving mother and father. The odds are really against it that he was in church on Sunday. And the statistic about that are just scary. You're like 10 times more likely to end up in prison if you weren't raised by your biological mom and dad. And we don't even include those in the news reports, so no one's even having the conversations. But my submission is, how do we fix this, Demetrius? How do we get the community that has given up on the nuclear family and Jesus to re-embrace it?
That is a very good question. For instance, myself, I came from what we call the hood, but I went in the military, got established and dealt with some things. I made sure that each one of my kids were educated, and I have 4, and all 4 are doing well. That's not to brag on them. It's to say that the people, some of the cousins and everything else we've seen go down the different path because of not having a father.
Hey, I'm running out of time. Real quick. You get married, you have your kids in wedlock and raise them with the mom?
No, I did not. No, I got married and had my kids.
Right. You got married, had your kids, but did you raise them together with their mother?
Absolutely, we did.
Okay,
and I absolutely believe in what you're saying.
That's the solution.
You got that, but how do you? Okay, but just let me say one last thing. You're gone. How do we transform the areas? the low income areas. I think we need to spend more time. How does it get transformed? Not what they're doing, because we have to die off in order for these kids to live. So we have to bring them up.
Yeah,
So anyway,
we need more
I didn't wanna
Demetriuses.
steal your time.
No, we need more you. We need more Lawrence and Fort Worth. We need more Colonel Allen West. We need more Wesley Hunts. And we're seeing some of these people rise up. But I don't know how. How do you get through to them? How do you have one rap song that is positive on getting married and being a husband and raising kids? We can't have one. We can't have one movie. We can't have one show on Netflix. We can't have one great male father, black role model. When was the last time we had a black father role model? Bernie Mac? Bill Cosby? 800-288-9227. Coming up next, the Happy World Cup visitors. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, we have a bunch of visitors in for the World Cup. Dallas is hosting 9 World Cup games. That's the most of any one site. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. You might not know this about me, but I am actually a soccer fan, unlike most people on talk radio, conservative talk radio. I hear a lot of people, it's a communist sport, bunch of sissies running around. Shut up. I'm not one of those guys. I actually like soccer. I like football. Look, I'm wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt right now, which is kind of sad, seeing as how we had the worst defense in team history last year. But let's not dwell too much on that. No, look, you can be both a good red-blooded American male, just a good old boy from Texas who played football and got a big homecoming mom for his girlfriend, and like soccer at the same time. But the last time we hosted the World Cup, 1994, we didn't have social media. And so now we have a bunch of people that are coming over here for the World Cup. And a bunch of these guys, first off, your English is fantastic. You people from Germany and Spain and Sweden and all the other people I've been following. Like your English is better than Jasmine Crockett when she's putting on an accent. But they love this country. And you know how good it makes you feel? Because you turn on TV and everyone talks about how America sucks and we need to be more like Europe. And they get to walk everywhere and they have trains. They go places on choo-choo trains and they smoke cigarettes in the cafe and the patio, and they're way ahead of us since they're socialized medicine, and they don't have these big, dumb suburbs and these giant stadiums and dumb. Then they come over here and they love it. The Europeans come over here and they're amazed. They're like, my God, I've never seen anything like this. Look at the size of the stadium. What is this for? Like one of the guys I'm following, his name's Freddie. He's from Germany. And he went to a game. I think they just had an exhibition, like a friendly, a couple days ago at Tiger Stadium in Auburn. Now, this is the biggest stadium he has ever seen in his life. He's like, oh my God, this thing fits 90,000 people. Look how tall this is. Never seen anything like this in my life. What is that for us? The 9th biggest stadium in the SEC, in our college football conference. It's the 9th. So it's so cool. Let me give you an example here. Here's a brother from Scotland. When I say brother, he's a white guy. A fella from Scotland who is just over the moon. His name's Sean, about our mac and cheese.
Look at that. Look at that. As a Scottish guy in America, here is a fact for you. Mac and cheese here in the States is better than the UK. Just a fact. And I'm here at Macked Out in Winter Gardens, Florida, to give their mac and cheese a try. I'm excited. Thank you. Mac and cheese secured. Brisket. I'm going to open this up. This is the mac and cheese, Philly cheesesteak style. It looks giant. I didn't expect it to be this big. I thought it was going to be a lot smaller, but nothing in America is small.
I don't know why I could watch like an hour of that. Europeans just being amazed by what we think is the most mundane of American things. And it's in a little one of those aluminum tins, like you put a small version of what you put the turkey in on Thanksgiving. It's in a little one of those, and it looks fantastic. But these guys are falling all over themselves about all the American stuff. Oh, and that German guy Freddie, he stopped at a Buc-ee's, and he was like, "Oh my God, this is a gas station?" We're like, "Yes." In Texas, we call that a gas station. And he was surprised because he didn't expect his whole family to find different genres of food to eat for dinner at the world's greatest gas station. But it's a beautiful reminder of you take away all the politics out of it, and people really recognize that this is a great country. The people that are slagging this country, it's only because they disagree with its politics. It's only because they don't want their people to know how great this country is, because they might try and recreate that back in Europe. They might not say, hey, you shouldn't have all this power over us. Maybe we should have free speech. Maybe we should have a Second Amendment. Maybe we should have cars. Maybe we shouldn't spend all this dumb money on trains. Love it. I'll be sharing more of that as the World Cup goes along. Evan in Frisco, you're on the James Show. Evan in Frisco, go.
Hey there, James. Thanks for taking my call. Sorry, I wasn't ready yet.
That's all right. It happens.
Hey, quick question for you. Do you think this might be, Carmelo Anthony might be going down the road affluenza like the Ethan Couch case, and I ask that because number one, he doesn't seem to know right from wrong. I mean, someone touches you, you jab a knife in their heart. That's definitely wrong. And now with his mom blaming the attorney, it seems like no one wants to take accountability. Which means kind of people have been told no, or people that have never been told no. They don't want to take accountability.
All right, Evan. First off, I had forgotten all about the affluenza case. Thanks for bringing that up. Boy, what a heartbreaking precedent that set. For those of you who don't remember, there was a case. What was that? 5 years ago, where
it was 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Some young kid got really drunk, got in a car wreck, ended up killing some people, and his lawyers got him a super light sentence. He was still found guilty, but they got a super light sentence on him. They claimed affluenza, which means he was so rich and so protected he had never had to experience the consequences of his negative choices before. So how could he be expected to understand the perils of drinking and driving? And he ended up getting a lenient sentence because of that. And of all the people that say like rich people or white people privilege, that's the perfect case of it right there. Someone really did get a sweetheart deal. Now, it's not because of the color of his skin, because I wouldn't have got that deal. You wouldn't have got that deal. My Uncle Joey didn't get that deal. But, yeah, what a great case to bring up. I hope they don't bring that up. But, man, I haven't even thought of that. So kudos to you, Evan, for remembering something I didn't. 800-288-9227. We have some more response to the Carmelo Anthony response coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I was just checking my sources for an announcement from Donald Trump about the Iran deal, because that's still our top story of the day. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but an hour before the James Show started, about 12:50 Texas time, there was a social media post that Trump put out on Truth Social and Twitter and all the things that says, based on the fact that discussions with the Islamic Republic of Iran have been brought to the highest level of Iranian leadership and approved, I have, as President of the United States of America, canceled the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran this evening. Discussion's final points have been, in both concept and great detail, approved by all parties involved. He goes and lists a whole lot of countries and then finishes with a time and place of the signing to be announced shortly. I was hoping to be able to tell you that before the end of the James Show, but I'm down to like 20 minutes left. So you might just have to leave it here and, I don't know, find out whenever it actually gets announced properly. And then after we wrap that story up, we were doing a lot of recap on the reactions to the Carmelo Anthony verdict and sentencing. And in the larger discussion of, you know, what the real problem is, there's a lot of other local stories that have the same genesis of the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf tragedy, and the fact that there was some guy, an inner city black guy, who was quick to use violence in a place where violence is not normally experienced. I mean, look, there was a drive-by. A guy got shot in the face in Fort Worth. Was that yesterday or day before yesterday? That just doesn't happen in Bug Tussle. That just doesn't happen in so many small towns. We don't have drive-bys. And I'm not saying white people don't have drive-bys. I'm saying Indian people don't have drive-bys. You know, we talk about the Frisco Indians and how they're doing all kinds of weird things with H-1Bs and displacing workers. You know what they're not doing? They're not getting a Tech 9, leaning out the window of a Lincoln Continental and spraying bullets at their gang rivals. That's not, of all the complaints we have about it, like, can't you wear like a shirt that ends before your knees? You know, that's piddly compared to violent crime. Mark in Plano, you're next up on the James Show.
Hey, James, how you doing today?
Great.
Hey, I just want to add a little humor on this, starting off with, you sure the Southern Law Poverty Center wasn't the ones funding that cross burning you were talking about?
Oh, man, that was so fun. They were saying that. I guess a lot of people didn't hear it. They were saying that in the comments. They're like, hey, yeah, it's another Southern Poverty Law Center guy. And I was joking that yesterday, one of the reasons that we're not having riots because the Southern Poverty Law Center can't fund both the Carmelo supporters and critics at the same time. Yeah, they're all tied up. They're in a congressional hearing right now. But Mark, your great joke is lost on the people who didn't hear that earlier. So here's the report from WGN about a burning cross travesty in Chicago. And by the way, the cross is like maybe 4 feet tall and it's made of thin little planks of wood that are kind of blown in the wind. It's barely on fire, and they blurred it out in the video, but it's a hilarious story.
This happened mid-afternoon on Tuesday here in Grant Park. We are hearing from a woman who drove by and saw this as it was happening, as Chicago police release a new image of a man they believe could be responsible.
This is something, you know, we've read about in history books and seen in black and white footage, you know, that type of thing, but never like today, 2026.
Anyway, I'm not listening to the whole thing, but I think it was an Asian fellow that did that, Mark.
Yeah, they're running low on funds in the Southern Poverty Law Center, so they're probably scraping the barrel on who they can find to do these things now.
Right. They had to go with their second choice when it came to cross, right? It's like, we can only get one bottle of lighter fluid this time.
Either that or it's DEI.
Right. Hey, how come only the white people get to burn crosses? We should have cross-burning equity and programs for minorities who get to enjoy the classic American Democrat tradition of burning crosses. All right, we're having too much fun with this, Mark. We're going to get fired. Thank you very much, sir. Let's get Mark off the phone. We can't have that much fun. People will accuse you of, I don't know, racism or something. Coming up next on the James Show, there's a just brilliant bit that Adam Carolla has been doing for about 20 years, and it sort of snowballed upon himself. And I've talked about this on the James Show in the past. Maybe you've heard it. The rich man, poor man bit. Are you familiar with this? Because Jerry Seinfeld, one of the great comedians of all time, went on the Adam Carolla show earlier this week, and we found out that not only do I love that bit, not only do you love that bit, that's Seinfeld's favorite bit too. And so we'll get about 2.5 minutes of just straight up punchlines coming up next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hello, cool people. Thank you for listening to The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I know you're cool because you're listening to The James Show. That's all it takes these days. I am your host, James Parker, on your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. I'm a big fan of the old Adam Carolla bit, Rich Man, Poor Man. And the whole point of the bit is to point out the hilarious similarities that are shared between the ultra wealthy and the ultra poor in our society. And I don't mean breathes oxygen. I mean things that they do that you and I don't do in the middle class. And so one of them like lives in a hotel, right? You don't live in a hotel. I don't live in a hotel. There's a lot of people at the very bottom rung of society that live in a hotel. A lot of people at the very top rung of society that live in a hotel. Now, I've had a lot of fun with this myself over the years. Added to the list, kept the list. I did not know this was Seinfeld's favorite bit too. He was on Adam Carolla's show earlier this week, and this is just 2.5 minutes of joy.
My favorite thing of yours.
It's
I
crazy.
don't know where you came up with it. Similarities between rich guys and poor guys.
Yeah.
Do people request it when you go out?
No, I don't do it all the time, but once in a while I'll just go, we're doing Rich Man, Poor Man, and people seem to appreciate it.
I think it's one of the top 5 greatest pieces of material I have ever heard.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
It's brilliant. It's original. It explodes your head.
Wow.
You know, showers outside. You both get driven. You both drink brands of alcohol you've never heard of.
I'll tell you what's fun. First off, there's 10 million. Some work, some don't work, and then some are.
Get rid of the ones that don't work.
Some don't work, and people go, huh? I go, had your bachelor party in Mexico. And they go, what? I go, well, you're either a rich guy who took a private jet with his friends to Puerto Vallarta, or you live in Mexico. And then they go, oh, yeah, people live in Mexico,
That's
you know?
funny. What's your favorite?
My favorite is knows the going rate for copper.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That is a good one.
Great one.
There's ones like when you leave the stadium, you get a police escort. I'm glad you like it. I'll keep them coming.
I love it.
The one that makes people sad, I go, has sex with a maid. And they go, what? I go, well, you're either Arnold Schwarzenegger,
right,
or you're
your
her
wife is a
husband.
maid,
Your
yeah.
husband waiting for Arnold to finish.
What about the ladder with the wheels? That's a great one.
That one, that's another one where I go, you use a ladder with wheels, and they go, what? And I go, it's either in your mahogany library or you work at a Home Depot. I did that joke a month ago, and the guy in the front row looked at me and he goes, I work at Home Depot. I went, oh boy, I don't know if we're going to get around.
So, but copper is your favorite one.
I like copper.
Yeah,
I
knows
like
the going rate for copper.
I like built a room using reclaimed materials. Which is, 100-year-old oak or a pallet in a refrigerator box. It's an LA thing. There's weird ones that I never do that the audience never gets, so I never do them. Like, has had lunch with Bono. Like, people are like, huh? I'm like, well, you're either super rich or you're super poor. It's not a middle class thing.
All right, that's genius. I love that one. And now you don't have to send me in your recommendations for Rich Man, Poor Man. A lot of them kind of make sense. Like your family has a problem with incest, right? That's either like the nobility or the very bottom rung of the trailer trash. Brilliant stuff. Hey, something I played yesterday that I'm going to play again today, and I'll play it again tomorrow, but this is just for reminder purposes. And I mean this more comedic than as a warning. Remember, there was Darius, who's telling you that it is not going to be safe this weekend for white people in North Texas. Remember this fella?
Collin County, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Irvin, Dalworth, Plano, Denton, Keller.
You have qualified for our special WBAP contest. Go to WBAP.com/what. I'm just playing. Hang on.
It ain't safe for none of you white folks to come out this weekend. I'm giving y'all a fair warning right now. And guess what? It's going to be a bunch of outside that look like me, and we ain't out there with no pocket knives. We out there with these. I guarantee y'all gonna pay for what that judge just did to Carmelo. If you don't believe me, bring y'all bold ass out this weekend and put on your Austin Matt Cow shirts and see what happened to you.
Oh man, I forgot about the chirp. Isn't that so delicious when you hear the chirp in the background? Some guy's trying to tell you how bad and awesome he is. He can't even keep up with the 9-volt in the smoke detector. That guy? Yeah, that dude. Hey, white people, are you scared? Ooh, I'm so scared to go outside. Yeah, we've got these. We don't have pocket knives. We have guns. Yeah, I'm on Team Red. We kind of have guns too. In fact, I go home on the weekends to bug tussle and we just juggle guns for fun. And like, we know how to shoot them and we don't shoot them sideways. So it looks cool. Like we're in Menace to Society. But it's just insane. No one takes that guy serious. And that's all he deserves, is to be laughed at. Oh, we got a tough guy over here. Look out, white people. Oh yeah? You're going to start the race war just like that? Really? No, you're not. You're going to smoke a bunch of cheap weed. You're going to binge watch something stupid on Netflix, and you're not going to do anything. And the Civil War talk is kind of amusing, because if you were going to do a Civil War talk, that's not what it would sound like, right? The Civil War doesn't start with you making a foam core sign and having a hissy fit in the street. Our founding fathers didn't do that. When Paul Revere took his famous ride, and told you the redcoats are coming, did people go make signs and go stand out in the Boston Commons and be like, hey, ho, ho, the British Army's got to go? No, they didn't do anything like that. The Civil War talk is just, it's nonsense. It's comical in the fact that it's just absolute fantasy for our left-leaning friends. Dave Smith?
These dumb lefties celebrating. Like, what exactly are you trying to start here? Don't sit here and pretend you're ready for a fight. Like, what are you doing? Do you know? It's like such a weird dynamic they have here, right? Where like the left wingers are almost always the ones who are out on the streets. They're the first ones to go, we're going to go out here and do a thing. It's much harder to get the right wingers out on the streets because they have families and jobs and church to go to. But the right wing is so much tougher. So much tougher. Like, if this ever came down to a fight, the fight is right wingers mowing down gender studies majors. Like, what are we talking about here? You ever see one of those videos where like Antifa would actually get into a fight? The black bloc guys, like 7 kids in hoodies with like, one of them's got a pipe and they got the masks on, so you're almost like, oh, these are like kind of tough looking guys. And then one of them swings like the girliest swing of a pipe and completely misses, and then a man punches him in the face, and you hear the guy go, hey, and you're like, oh, you're not tough, you're just like role playing as tough. Like, what do you guys think? But you're trying to provoke this other side who will annihilate you. And there are real deal militias in this country. There are real deal gun enthusiasts in this country. You do not want to pop off with them.
All right, that's going to do it for the James Show today. I encourage you to check out the James Show podcast. Plus, I got a bunch of great videos and highlights on all the channels, the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, the YouTube, the whatever else that they're coming out with tomorrow. I'm probably already on it, so go check that out. All right, stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.